I'm sorry, Moses. We can't take the cap.
This was the second worst day of my life.
How you doing, sir? How can I help you?
This is Moses. Jeremy's dad told the man at the adoption center about Jeremy dying 2 months ago. He said it was too hard on Jeremy's mom to have me around, so they were giving me up.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I'm sure we'll be able to find a good home for him.
Bye, buddy. I guess they don't know. I miss Jeremy too. He was my best friend, and they were my family. We grew up together. We ran and played together. Life was good. And then, it wasn't.
Jeremy, keep that ice pack on your knee while you're studying. I know what you're planning. Don't let Moses on the couch.
All right, Dad. Hey, Moses. Moses, Kennel. Ah, boy. They got us doing health homework. They're monitoring us. So I just gotta sit through these.
You've probably heard of the word fentanyl. It's all over the news, it's all over social media.
But do you really know what it is?
Or how dangerous it really is? Most people don't.
I mean, we didn't. Not until we really looked into it.
And believe us, it's way scarier than you think.
Here's the thing. Fentanyl is not like other drugs. Just a tiny bit, like the size of a grain of salt, can kill you.
It's that powerful. And the worst part? It's showing up in places you didn't expect.
Pills, powders, even stuff people wouldn't expect, like prescription medication, is being laced with fentanyl. You think you're taking one thing?
And then bam! Fentanyl's in the mix. And that's in-game for some people.
A guy named Joshua Gillihan found out too late.
He's cold. He's cold.
We ended up finding out that He took a pill that he thought was an oxy, and it was fentanyl. It was pure fentanyl. Joshua, he was adorable. We had the first week of school, and it was fantastic. Joshua was so excited about being, a freshman in high school. I was going out of town the next day, and then the next morning I woke up, got ready, had everything ready to go. My suitcases were on the front porch, and at the last minute, I thought, I need to run upstairs and say bye to Joshua. I couldn't wake him up. And the minute I touched him, I knew. He was ice cold. His room was always really cold. And I kept thinking, oh my God, if I could just warm him up. We just need to warm him up, and he'll be okay. And he was laying on his side, and I kept trying to lean down and see his face, and I was touching him and rubbing him, and it was just horrible to see all that, and I'll never forget it. Joshua's pill was pure fentanyl. We don't know if this was Joshua's first pill or his 10th pill. But that's the game you're playing. Nobody's invincible. Don't think it can't happen to you, because guess what? Nobody thinks it can happen to them. And it happened to us. Did I ever dream in a million years I could lose my only child like this? No. Never once did I think that my kid was going to take something that was going to kill him. I don't want his death to be in vain. If we can save others from going through this, that's what I want to do.
Moses, it's all right. I'm watching.
Josh's story is very sad.
And it shouldn't have happened.
Landon and I are on a mission to find out why this happened and what we can do to stay safe and make sure this doesn't happen again to any of us or any of our friends.
Our first stop is to talk with Dr. Stout, who works at a forensic lab. We're going to ask him to explain what fentanyl is and what it does to our brain. Come with us. Dr. Stout, thank you so much for meeting us.
Hey, happy to.
Could you just explain what fentanyl is?
Fentanyl, it is what is called a synthetic opioid, meaning it is engineered relative of morphine and heroin and opium and those kinds of things. It depresses your central nervous system, so basically it puts your brain to sleep. It gets used for surgical anesthesia all the time in hospitals.
So why is fentanyl so dangerous for people in general?
Yeah, well, problem starts arising when we got fentanyl out of the hospital and in uncontrolled circumstances. But fentanyl is an opioid. Your brain really likes opioids. This has been the problem forever with opium and heroin. Your brain gets addicted to it. And the problem with all of these drugs is, like I say, they suppress your central nervous system, and primarily they suppress your body's desire to breathe. So the danger from it comes from the fact that when you overdose, you stop breathing and you suffocate. So hold your breath for about 10 minutes here and let's see what happens.
You're painting the picture really well. Outside of hospitals, what is usually fentanyl found in? Like what kind of drugs?
Pills, and more pills. We actually see fentanyl in a lot of different things.
Okay, so is it hard to tell the difference between a real pill and a fake pill?
Very much so. So this is one of those little sweetener packets that you'd see like in a restaurant.
Yeah.
This one is 0.8 milligrams. So 8.8 grams, 800 milligrams, okay?
Yeah.
So that's what 800 milligrams looks like. So these are pills that we know have fentanyl in them. So as I show you this, keep in mind the size of those pills. All right, so there's 400 milligrams. There's 200 milligrams. There's 100 milligrams. There's 50. There's 25 milligrams. There's about 15 milligrams. There's about 8 milligrams. There's about 4 milligrams. There's about 2 milligrams. For all of us standing around here, that would be a lethal dose. So imagine that might be in any one of those pills. You tell the difference between any of them?
No.
You borrow an oxy from a friend. You borrow a Norco from a friend. Your friend has no clue what's in there. You stick it in your mouth. You could easily have that amount in there. You don't know it. You're dead.
Does different doses have different effects on your brain?
What's going to happen is you are going to stop breathing. You do that for more than a couple of minutes, your brain starts to die.
And so even if you do survive maybe having a fentanyl overdose, like
You may have starved your brain of oxygen long enough that your brain just is never going to be the same.
wow. And what does that mean exactly? Like cognitive function?
Everything function. About 4 years ago, we started seeing meth and fentanyl
Mixed
together in the same pills.
Wow.
We see meth in all kinds of stuff. Nobody's talking about the fact that that pill could easily have meth in it. You don't know about it. And you can overdose from meth too.
How do people usually get a hold of the fentanyl and the other?
As pills.
Yo, Josh.
And they don't.
Playoffs are this week, and my knee's like busted. Like busted. Yeah. Do you have anything for it? I just need to get through practice, and coach won't let me play if he knows how busted it is.
Worries about fentanyl. It is very serious to worry about fentanyl.
Yeah.
Most of the overdose deaths.
Thanks, man. I knew I could count on you.
Because of fentanyl. Nobody's talking about that.
Who does it hit hardest, the adults or the kids?
It hits everybody hard. I mean, a child who's smaller, who's less accustomed to it, it's going to hit them harder and faster. But these things are indiscriminate. This is also what I try to get people to understand. Opioid use disorders, people that use and abuse these things, it's not like they look like anything in particular. There's not a whole lot of pattern by race, by economic status, by area, and the stuff is going to kill you just as easily if you are rich or if you are poor.
So your recommendation is just to avoid this stuff altogether?
Don't stick it in your mouth. You have no clue what's in it. Now, that also includes, because these things are getting manufactured in illicit places. Oh yeah, here we go. So, oxys, an M30. Probably every kid knows what an M30 looks like.
Yeah.
They'll call it an oxy, they'll call it an M, they'll call it an M30. Those look pretty spot on like M30s. If that were in a pill bottle, I would not be able to tell you that that's not a legitimately manufactured oxycodone tablet, Mallinckrodt 30 milligram M30 tablet. Those aren't. Those are illicitly manufactured fentanyl in them.
Wow.
But when you borrow a medication or you buy one of these from dude on the corner, thinking it's a legit M30 and it's not, the potency of what's in that could be astronomically above what you're thinking.
Let's say that they didn't die from their overdose. What's like the withdrawal and the addiction effects that it can have?
Opioids have a pretty predictable addiction and pretty high addiction potential. This is the same for heroin, it's the same for morphine, it's the same for oxycodone, definitely the same for fentanyl. And the withdrawal symptoms are really what drive people to keep needing to use the drug and use more and more and more and more. The withdrawal symptoms from opioids are awful. Vomiting, nausea, your entire body screaming in pain, hallucinations, cold sweats that will go on for days until basically your body adjusts. And there's not much to do for it. And that just awful feeling is enough that drives people to try and avoid it. That's addiction. That's what can happen.
So what's your advice for kids who wanted to take fentanyl, but their friends are like, you have to take it to be cool and all of that?
No, please just don't. I know, that's tough. It's been a long time since I was a kid, but I get it. When I was a kid, marijuana looked like marijuana. Pills looked like pills. You can actually trust what was there. You just can't now. just simply because actually I was involved in a case up in the north part of Texas that, and I think it was an M30 as well, but they had a pill, 2 kids split it, 1 kid died, 1 kid overdosed, but was okay. Even within those 4 pills, there might be wildly different doses that are there, and you have no way of knowing. So yeah, your friend might take one and be just fine, because that pill might well have just been caffeine, and the one you take has a screaming hot dose of fentanyl in it, and you're dead. And there's no way to know.
You know, what would you recommend if someone is addicted to fentanyl or other, opioids, drugs? What's your recommendation for
Get help. And there's lots of places for help out there, but get help. It is a really tough thing to try and get off yourself. Odds are good. Lots of people know people who have an opioid use disorder. It's really tough to spot just kind of day-to-day stuff. But if you know somebody, help them get help. They need help.
Thank you so much for answering our questions.
Hey, happy to.
Next, we're going to the police station to talk with Sergeant Dodson.
He was in the drug task force for many years. He saw what happens when fentanyl is involved.
Like, seriously, I'm watching it.
What would happen if like a teenager or an adult got caught with pills laced with fentanyl? Like, what's the charges for that?
So the charge would be a possession of controlled substance. There's a felony charge. So you would be arrested and you would be taken to jail, assigned a court date, and you would have to go to court and see a judge and hire a lawyer, things like that.
So say if we were at a party having fun and we knew somebody took fentanyl and they passed out, what do we do?
Kids get scared, they take off, they run. Maybe somebody calls and we show up and there's a guy passed out, unconscious on the ground, and we don't know what's going to happen to him, what happened, how it happened, and everybody's abandoned you. But the right thing to do is call 911 and get them help. They need to get medical attention. The police will show up, but that doesn't mean you're going to get in trouble. We also carry a thing called Narcan, where we can provide some aid to them to start the process to get them emergency medical services to transport them to the hospital. We don't want that person to die, and obviously you don't want to live with that for the rest of your life if they die. So you need to call 911 so police or EMS or fire can come and administer Narcan to that person, and we can get them the best help possible.
Okay, so how does that work?
I have a friend, Greg Suter, that can show us how to do that.
So this is Narcan. Naloxone is the common name, but the brand name Narcan is what is most commonly referred to. And this is an actual dose right here. Inside this, there's actually 2 doses. This is an actual look at what's inside there. These are administered through the nose, and they're absorbed through the bloodstream via the nose. So administration would look like this. We take this device and we grip it between our fingers, and our thumb comes on the plunger. One of the hands would come under the back of the head and tilt the head back. This is then introduced into the nasal cavity, and the plunger is depressed. We tell our officers, give it a count for a couple seconds. 1, 2, 3, and then we withdraw this and save it on the side. Now that medication begins to work. And the way Narcan works is it's a competitive antagonist. The reason opiates are so dangerous, like fentanyl for us, is because they interact with our bodies on the receptor sites in our brain that are the same ones that tell us to breathe. So as you take more and more opiates in your body, or you accidentally overdose via fentanyl or some other substance you don't know what it is, those sites are filled and your body then no longer has the desire to breathe. And it's something you can't override. So when we introduce Narcan, what Narcan does is it goes in as a competitive antagonist and temporarily knocks that opiate out of those receptor sites and allows you to breathe again. But Narcan doesn't go in our body and destroy the opiate like fentanyl that's in there. It only buys some time for you to be able to get an actual first responder, like initially the police department and then the fire department EMS, to be able to get you to the hospital. Because after that Narcan wears off, if that opiate in your body hasn't been metabolized, then you'll start to re-overdose again. You'll notice that there's 2 doses in the package. That's because if the victim either doesn't wake up or wakes up and goes back unconscious again, Narcan can be given repeatedly every 2 to 3 minutes until the patient either wakes up or professional rescuers arrive. Another thing that's really neat about Narcan is not harmful to people who we give it to and they don't need it. Say y'all two are hanging out together at the house, right? and you've taken some pills, maybe you took some pill, you're starting to get high, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go down the street, run to Pizza Hut or wherever and grab some pizza, I'll be right back. Last thing you know, you're high, you leave. Well, what you thought was a known dose, or maybe you've even taken before, now that was laced with fentanyl, or the strength of whatever fentanyl is there may be different, now you've overdosed. And what does an overdose look like? What do you think?
Just passing out, unconscious, can't breathe.
Certainly. So drowsiness is normally how it starts for us. We can look at it and say generally people have very constricted pupils. So instead of the pupil being very big, really small and pinpoint. But then as they get more and more sleepy, the problem with that is that desire to breathe goes down, and when you may just say, hey, she's just dozing off, she's sleepy, you leave to go grab that pizza. Well, now she stopped breathing while she's out. You come back, and now she's been without oxygen long enough that even if we do bring her back with Narcan, you could have brain damage that lasts for the rest of your life. And even going on from there, you think about brain damage, things that occur, like cognitive function goes down for us. So the ability to think, the ability to eat on your own, all of those things. So this really isn't a get out of jail free card. It doesn't completely reverse the problems that came up with the overdose in the first place, but when it is something that's needed, it's the only thing that is going to reverse that for us.
I'm awake, all right? I'm watching it.
Navigating peer pressure is real.
And emotional and physical pain as well.
That's why we had some friends go visit a counselor to help us navigate those things. Let's see what they learned.
Well, thank you for coming in to see me. I know that you came in today because y'all have things that you wanted to talk about for me to help navigate you through some things that's been going on. So if you don't mind, kind of fill me in a little bit.
I want to go to a party of one of my friends, but don't want to feel the pressure to do drugs and alcohol just because they say so. But I just want to know, how do I say no to them without making them feel offended or a certain way?
The easiest thing that I will always tell you to do is, if you mean no and you don't want to do it, you can simply say no. If that's not an option, offer another positive alternative instead. For example, you can say, hey, I see that they're playing Pong over there. Let's go over there and play that. That way, it takes the attention off of what they're asking you in that moment, and y'all can go do another fun activity without having drugs and alcohol. All right? Another thing that you can do is simply blame it on your parents. Just say, hey, girl, you know my mom. You know she would not go for that. Now, you know my mom would get on my case like she would get on your case. So the best option for both of us is for us not to do it. Another thing that you can do is also make sure you buddy up with somebody. So if you feel like that you are being put in an uncomfortable situation, give a wink to one of your friends. That way that signals to them that you might be in distress and you need help, where they can come over there and grab you or send you a text message. That way you're distracted and you can say, oops, I gotta go. And that is your quick exit away from the situation as well. The other thing is, I have to use the bathroom. Excuse me for a moment. Excuse yourself and never come back to the situation. Just start hanging out with other friends. Avoidance is a good remedy as well to avoid a stressful situation or a situation you're being offered drugs and alcohol when you don't want to partake in that.
All right. So I have a few friends that don't play on the team, that they have like exams and quizzes and they stay up really late to do them. So, and they get offered drugs and pills and things at late nights. So is there anything I could tell them to help them not do drugs?
Well, the first thing that I would tell them is, if they are not getting medication from a doctor, then they do not know what they could possibly be taking. I will instruct them that they probably need to prioritize their time and make out a schedule where they can have enough time where they can study, get rest, and then go back to studying. But pills would not help them study even more. It would actually do the opposite and make them crash, which will really cause them to fail a test. And then I also want to bring up, there are going to be times where you're going to feel that indirect pressure, where you're at a party and you feel like everybody else is doing it. Because I know you probably see it on social media. In order to have a good time, you have to do this. But I'm here to tell you, all kids are not doing it. It is not a known thing for people to be taking drugs or alcohol. So never feel like you have to do something in order to fit in. All right? Actually, you standing out from the crowd is what's going to set you apart from everybody else. And then you will find other people that don't want to do it, they will follow along behind you.
Man, I really learned a lot today.
Me too. I've learned a lot more than I knew I was gonna learn.
Yeah, I learned that the risks of some temporary pain relief and or pleasure is not worth the dangers of fentanyl.
I know we shouldn't risk our life for it at all, and we shouldn't take any pills anybody give us because we don't know what they have in them.
I mean, think about it. Your dreams, aspirations, your life can be crushed. Your family's lives. To lose you is not worth that risk.
So we shouldn't take any pills anyone give us.
Don't take their word for it. And we ask you, please, stay safe.
These are gonna keep me in the game. Good night.
Will my heart ever find its way back home? Will the tears that I saved for years take home? These streets that once were paved in gold are letting memories go into diamond skies. Diamond skies, diamond skies, letting memories go.
And this big guy here is Moses. He's a good dog, but he just needs a good home.
Hi, Moses. Oh, you're so pretty. Can you take him out of the kennel so I can meet him?
Sure. All right, Big Mo. Come on. Say hi.
Hi. What's the matter, boy? I'm not gonna hurt you.
I'd like to believe her, but I never thought Jeremy would hurt me.
What do you think, Moses? Do you want to go home with me?
My heart wants me to say yes, but my head is telling me to be cautious. She looks like a smart girl. I hope I don't regret this, but I'm gonna trust her.
Good boy. We're gonna be best friends, aren't we?
Please make better decisions than Jeremy did. Don't break my heart and ruin the lives of those that love you. Follow your dreams and have a great life. You really don't need illicit drugs to make it. I promise.
Will my heart ever find its way back home? Will the tears that I saved for years take home? These streets that once were paved into